We'll be reading the fine print of President Trump's agreement with Kim Jong-un. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina is one of them. He's with us from Washington. Senator, good morning. We've been talking all morning about this agreement. The president said, and I'm quoting him here, they, meaning North Korea, have given up a tremendous amount with this agreement. What have they given up?
Nothing yet. This is an agreement in principle. Number one, congratulations to President Trump of bringing this about. This is a historic opportunity to end the Korean War, get North Korea to give up their weapons and missiles that threaten us and the world in return for security guarantees and prosperity. I hope it happens, but there is no agreement. And one thing I would tell you, John, is if there is an agreement, it must come to Congress for our approval.
But I'm confused. The president said they gave up a tremendous amount, and you say they haven't given up anything. How do we work our way through that contradiction?
Well, they've promised to give up their nuclear weapons. They've done this twice. Why should we consider this different? I think they believe President Trump is different in this regard, that if they don't give up their weapons, we're going to have a military conflict to end their program. They've got two choices. Column A is security guarantees and economic incentives to give up your nuclear program. Column B is a devastating conflict militarily, which they will lose. President Trump has to convince Kim Jong-un he's safer and more prosperous without nuclear weapons. This is a first step. This is a good start, but we're a long ways away from an agreement.
So, Senator, on that point, as the North Koreans promise to take steps toward a complete denuclearization, the President of the United States...
They've done this before.
Yeah, they've done it multiple times before and lied about it.
Right.
And now we have President Trump saying that he's going to end joint U.S.-South Korean military exercises. Is that a good idea?
I don't mind putting these exercises on hold. Over the arc of time, the exercises won't matter. But the one thing I would object to violently is withdrawing our forces from South Korea. China is trying to play President Trump through North Korea. China's goal for decades has been to drive us out of Asia. If we withdraw our forces, and that's part of the deal, I can't support the deal. That will lead to more conflict, not less. Our forces in South Korea are stabilizing for Asia. They're trying to drive us out of Asia. China is, and that would be a bad deal. So I hope we don't go down that road.
Well, Senator, I was just there in May with the 8th Army, and you know what their slogan is, because I know you've been there and you've served. It's ready to fight tonight.
I have been there.
They train all the time so that they can be ready to defend themselves and the South Koreans and their families that live there. So what purpose does it serve ending these training exercises?
It gives us breathing space to get an agreement. What we've done, we're not stopping training, we're stopping joint exercises for a while to give Kim Jong-un some assurance that we're willing to meet him more than halfway. I am willing to do a lot of things to get them to give up their nuclear weapons and end their missile program. He can have a membership at Trump Nationals. I really don't care how generous we are as long as we don't go too far when it comes to our troop presence. At the end of the day, this is the last best chance to end this conflict without a war. I'm very open-minded to security agreements and to economic incentives to North Korea, but I am very closed-minded when it comes to withdrawing our forces.
I realize you're making a joke about giving him a membership at Trump National.
Yeah, I am.
But this is a man who has more than 100,000 people in gulags in North Korea.
Yes.
They have been compared to concentration camps, starving his own people and torturing them. Do you think an invitation to the White House is appropriate?
I think the North Korean nuclear threat is one of the greatest dangers the world faces the United States. I know who we're dealing with. He kills his own people in large numbers. He killed Otto Warmbier. He's a very bad guy. But I'm willing to deal with him on one condition, that we end this madness in North Korea. He can come to the White House as long as he gives up his nuclear program, gives up his missile program. Senator Schumer laid out what a good deal would look like. I'm a realist. I'm not trying to bring democracy to North Korea. I'm not trying to unify South Korea and North Korea. I'm trying to help this president end a conflict between us and North Korea where they have a nuclear capability to hit America soon and give up their nuclear weapons before they sell them to somebody who would use them. So I'm very open-minded. I'm pretty hawkish on this. I'm in the John Bolton camp, but I'm willing to do a lot to end this conflict. But they have to understand that if we don't do it peacefully, we're going to have a military conflict, and they will use it. And I hope Democrats will back the president up regarding the military option as a last resort.
Yesterday, you tweeted about Otto Warmbier, and you just mentioned him. Today, the president said this would not have happened without the death of Otto Warmbier, that he did not die in vain. How does that sit with you? Do you agree with that?
Well, I hope so. I know who we're talking. We're talking about a guy who's just a complete thug and a killer in North Korea. I have no illusions about who we're talking to. He is not a nice man, but he will do what's best for him and his inner circle. Trump's got to convince him that you'll be safer and more prosperous by giving up your nukes than if you keep them. It's all about Kim. It's all about his regime. It's not about the North Korean people. I think President Trump is ready, if he had to use military force to bring this threat to an end. I hope North Korea believes that. I hope China believes it, because I believe it. And this is the last best chance to get peace. Otto died, and I hope he didn't die in vain, but he didn't die. He was murdered. He was murdered in the hands of the North Koreans, and I want to look forward, not backward. But if you don't remember what happened to Otto and who you're dealing with, you're making a big mistake. And we're not going to let China play us. We're not going to let China use North Korea to get us to withdraw our forces from South Korea, because that's very destabilizing. That doesn't help peace. That breeds conflict.
Well, Senator Graham, thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
An entire